A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke. At that time, there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that the whole world should be enrolled. This enrolling was first made by Cyrenius, the governor of Syria, and all went to be enrolled, every one into his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee out of the city of Nazareth into Judea to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and family of David, to be enrolled with Mary, his espoused wife, who was with child. And it came to pass that when they were there, her days were accomplished, that she should be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him up in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. And there were in the same country shepherds watching, and keeping the night watches over their flock. And behold, an angel of the Lord stood by them, and the brightness of God shone round about them, and they feared with a great fear. And the angel said to them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, that shall be to all the people. For this day is born to you a Saviour, who is Christ the Lord, in the city of David. And this shall be a sign unto you. You shall find the infant wrapped in swaddling clothes, and laid in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly army, praising God, and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace to men of good will. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Christmas special of Monarchist Minute, Royalist News in the US of A. I'm Victor Smith, along with a festive William Stout and a joyful Charles Colombe. And tonight, sorry, a
I'm not
joyful
that
Charles York. Sorry about that. And joining us and tonight, our topics for this evening, as well as other forms of Christmas cheer, we will discuss a few very serious topics. The FDA has permanently allowed abortion pills to be sent by mail. Today, December 17th, 2021, was a day of threats of school shootings made via the social media platform TikTok. But first, the official plan that has been approved for the renovation of the Notre Dame Cathedral is the Disney-fied renovation that features, well, I'm going to let my two panelists take it from here to describe the renovations and just how strange they may seem. I will return in a moment.
All right. So like, here's the dealio. One of the main points of the whole the whole renovation is that they're going to make some of the chapels have Bible text, portrayed with lights, and they're going to move the confessionals to somewhere else, because obviously it's not like, and I reduced the number of confessionals because we all know that isn't important at all. I am lying. Anyways, and there's going to be space for contemporary modern art. It's going to be an absolute nightmare.
Basically, the French government is going out of their way to make Notre Dame Cathedral a tourist trap.
Well, no. It's not even the French government. This plan was actually proposed by the Diocese of Paris, by I presume are modernist in the church, to try to make it more welcoming and exclusive and including, because we all know that hasn't failed, and
I
every
thought
single time it was tried.
you see, I read that it had to do with the French government and the Parisian government because
Well, no, they had to approve it
technically
because
owned by the Parisian and the French government and their historical council, and it's lent to the Catholic Church.
well, yeah, but it was proposed by the Paris's. I mean, it was proposed by the Diocese of Paris, and the church, because all church land in Paris was nationalized in 1905, inside the metropole. Um, but that land was, but the parish priest can still, recommend all they want. They just have to get approval from whoever, which actually was sort of which in hindsight accidentally became something of a good thing, because a lot of parish priests wanted to Spirit of Vatican IIize their parish, um, and the communist mayors thought that they were like lulling the church, when in reality they were kind of saving the parishes from being wrecked. Um, so that, but this time it's definitely not a good thing. What's happening? Um, it's absolutely disgusting on the part of everybody who's involved. And originally, Macron, who obviously I don't particularly like, said that they were going to restore it as is, but I guess that's not. I guess that's not happening.
Yeah, what happened?
Oh, you're kind of cutting out. I can tell you what happened. Politicians are cringe, and politicians will obviously break any promise that is a good one, and keep any promise that's bad. That's just kind of how the system works. Um, I don't know. It's of course very disappointing that this is happening at all. Um, we're talking about, even if Notre Dame wasn't a historical parish, and I can finally close out of the game I was playing because it takes forever. Um, even if Notre Dame wasn't like this famous historical landmark, the most recognizable Catholic parish in France, and besides maybe St. Peter's, one of the most recognizable Catholic parishes in the world, it's you don't just do that to this parish, right? I mean, all these different renovations, right? At least the roof is still being, fixed, I think, so the damage can be easily undone that they're doing. All these different plans, even if it was just a small church, would be absolutely disgraceful, because nowhere has this ever worked. Okay, this trying to make the parish all inclusive for the faithful and visitors alike. I think that I can pull up an article that expresses some quotes. Um, None of this has ever worked. Okay, what gets people to go to parishes, you know, is because they want to see the parish firstly, or go to mass there, but and then also the historical value. Even if you're not particularly religious, you're kind of destroying the historical value of the place, ain't you? By doing all that, it's just ugh.
Some art people argue that because the original builders of Notre Dame Cathedral had said that, oh, this was an innovation in displays of light and etc., that this fits. What?
Oh my gosh.
They took
Um.
something that wasn't broke, well, as broke as a building that almost burnt down can be, and they tried fixing it!
Yeah. Okay. Notre Dame, or Notre Dame. It's just despicable. It is absolutely despicable. What has happened in it? Look, I mean, I know I'm not being very coherent here, but you can't just I don't know. You can't just do this, right? And Brian Holdsworth has a video on why this is a bad idea, and it can explain it much more intricately than my bumbling self right about now because I'm trying to do two things at once. But you know, the whole point of people will say, "Oh, why doesn't the church just give the money to the poor that we spend on building and maintaining all these structures?" Well, firstly, it's an act of praising God in itself, trying to obviously we'll never reach perfection, but trying to make something this beautiful, right? That obviously won't be as beautiful as heaven, but we're trying. There's that, and then secondly, the obvious, we employ people to do this. This is not beautiful, okay? I highly doubt heaven will have a bunch of local art. Will be a art expo for local Parisian art. I mean, if it's particularly good art, I don't, but I don't think that's
It reminds me of the story about how the government of Paris poured a ton of money of advertising for the Parisian Modern Art Museum and getting tourists to go to it. Just for basically a few tourists to go to it, ignore it largely, and then wait in line at the Louvre like everyone else. It just goes to show people don't go to Paris to see tasteless dribble on a canvas made by some hipster who was sipping Starbucks and tweeting on their iPhone.
yeah. I mean, look, and then also they didn't completely spare the Louvre because this is that weird glass triangle thing in front of it. Anyways,
Yeah.
um, no, it's and we're talking about a Catholic parish here, right? I mean, it's disgraceful when this is done to any historical building. Um, but we're talking about a Catholic parish, and really, is as ironic as it is because it was the French government kind of preventing this nonsense from happening for so long. Really, these things shouldn't be in the hands of the French government in the first place. And the clergy who have come up with this proposal, they really need to take a look at themselves, right? I always make it a point of knowing my proper station, and I am just a humble layman. I have no influence over this in any way, shape, or form, and really, nor should I. But with respect to those clergymen who have come up with this, please reconsider, or maybe find some of the local FSSP guys and casually leave the plans open on the table and you walk out of the room while the FSSP guys just quickly take a pen and scribble out all the nonsense and then submit that. R- it-
No, I'm not even going to say please reconsider. Reconsider.
oh,
I'm demanding it.
okay, there we go. He can
This.
do that because he's Protestant. I, I might get
Well.
in trouble if I say that. No, I'm
I
joking.
Well,
because
I'm not sure if we get in trouble for telling
Yeah,
them with a forceful voice to reconsider.
yeah.
I call upon anybody that's French that stumbles upon this podcast, and if you are French and you stumbled upon this podcast, bienvenue, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Please go to Paris and protest this. Go to the Chancery office of the Archdiocese of Paris and resist this. Protest this. Make your voices heard. This is what the French are good at. Be good. Like, this is what the French are good at. Do what you're good at and stop this madness from tainting one of the holiest sites in Western Europe, if not the world.
And I especially call upon French Protestants because what they gonna do? Excommunicate us? We were never part of the church to begin with.
uh,
Oh,
anyway,
uh,
anyway.
well, Joe Carpus said chop some heads off if you have to. Historically, guillotines in the Catholic Church aren't a good mix. What were those? What was the name of that group of martyred nuns who got martyred?
I don't remember.
There were so many people the Jacobins off. Let's not get into the list.
Yeah,
Today is
we'd be here all night and
today
into
is
the next
not the
morning.
day. If when we have a special that falls on or near Bastille Day, that would be the time to go over the sins of the French Revolution. But today,
The entire thing.
Yeah.
There you go. Bastille Day special. What was wrong with the French Revolution? The entire thing.
uh,
Lemonade.
Ugh.
and now, after that topic, we move back home to the United States, and to specifically to Charles's home state of Michigan, with today being a school shooting threat day that was made on the TikTok app. Charles, because this is local to you, I'll let you have first word again.
Uh, yeah. So, I wasn't aware of the specific TikTok incident, but I think well over a dozen teens, maybe even in my home county, have been indicted for acts of terrorism by threatening school shootings. Um, this is okay. Firstly, obviously, this has got to stop. But secondly, gosh, what were they trying to do? Were these look? These are people who are probably not that much younger than me. Um, Guys, did you think you would just get a free day off school because of the terror threat, and then it would face no ramifications or something?
What?
You can't just do that.
Let's
Like,
be honest. They were just young, edgy, and they thought it would get good clout on the internet. That's probably the only reason they actually did it.
and it's just you guys are the reason why people can't own cool handguns until they're 21. You know that, right? Like I have nothing against giving children firearms. If you're 6, get them a 22 for Christmas. Keep it in the gun safe, obviously. Unlike that Dragnet episode that I kind of just name dropped. 22 for Christmas. Of course, hey, it was like the late 40s and 50s. They didn't really gun safes weren't really a thing yet. Um, you know, you just, but you gotta the original Oxford shooter who kind of set off this entire thing. He was given that rifle, and as far as we're aware, it was probably given that rifle because he was unstable. Okay, parents, there's nothing wrong with giving your children firearms. In fact, I condone it. I think that having a culture where children, are obviously introduced at the proper age to firearms and taught, how to properly, handle them and all that and shoot them is a good thing. But if the kid is clearly unstable, don't give the kid a handgun. Or well, it wasn't a handgun; it was a carbine. Just because I think that you have a right to guns doesn't mean everybody should, right? You have a right to freedom of speech. That doesn't mean you shouldn't shut up sometimes. Um, just like you don't give right. We don't let loony people vote. We don't let loony people. And loony people shouldn't. Yeah, this is probably inappropriate, manner, but we shouldn't let them have guns. And as far as we're aware, there could be something completely wrong here that we're not being told yet. But it looks like the parents kind of bought a obviously unstable person a gun. Now, it could be that he only became visibly unstable after he got the gun, but there were several opportunities that the parents had to be like, okay, maybe by looking for ammunition and online, which okay, that could probably be excused in of itself, but drawing yourself shooting your classmates, that might go a bit far. They should
Oh,
have taken away the gun at that point. I mean,
Charles.
yeah,
It's worse than that. The day of the shooting, the parents were called into the school, and the school
yeah,
asked them to remove the child from the school and get him help immediately. The parents refused, and
they allowed him back to class, and then the shooting happened.
it's very likely the child was armed at that meeting. It could have been stopped then and there, but the parents just refused. And they
Yeah,
refused to cooperate. They refused to talk to the media.
and it's this is why. Okay, we do have a problem in our culture. We're not that many people. We're less people than ever before own firearms, right? It used to be that everybody was packing, right? Because if you were on the frontier, if it wasn't Indians, it was going to be something else. But uh, you know, this whole thing, these parents shouldn't have bought the kid the handgun because he was clearly unstable. I keep calling it a handgun. It's not a handgun. It was a carbine. They shouldn't have bought the kid the carbine because he was clearly unstable. And more people should have obviously recognized it. Most kids who have guns, okay, don't go or well, technically they don't have guns because it's legal to own a firearm. But anyways, until you're 18, most kids who own quote unquote guns don't show themselves drawing themselves shooting kids. Okay, this is not a normal thing, and the parents should have obviously recognized that. I have absolutely no idea what those parents were doing. I don't know if the dad owned guns growing up, but he probably would have. If he did, he probably should have realized, hey, this isn't something I did, right? If people had more than 5 brain cells when it came to firearms, they should have recognized that this may have been abnormal behavior. When I was in 2nd grade, okay, on a toothbrush assignment, right? Because in 2nd grade they're still teaching you things like, yeah, it's good to brush your teeth twice a day. Jokes on them. My mom was already hounding that, and I never really had any severe cavities. So, haha. Anyways, um, I drew what I considered to be very nice 6 shooters. Old cowboy gats on that little assignment. And they were all interlaid and all that. If I looked at it nowadays, I would probably be like, "Ew, you're even yeah, somehow you were even worse of a drawer back then." Um, but and of course, the teacher was like, "Oh shoot," and she ripped up the thing or whatnot. But I wasn't thinking about hurting nobody. I just like cowboy guns, and I drew them, right? But there's a very clear difference between that, right, which you would expect any kid who was watching Wild West Tech on the History Channel, and a kid who's drawing himself shooting people. Okay, uh, the the school should have had the power to suspend him right then and there and force the parents to take him home.
The school probably did have the power to suspend him.
Yeah, I mean,
For
I
so
know.
much and so little. The fact that the school didn't suspend him baffles me.
Yeah, I mean, okay, like if this was like pre-Columbine, okay, maybe I could see a school doing that, but this is a post. I mean, like I'm probably the only person my age who says this, but this is a post-Columbine world. Okay, you can't. School shooting is taken as a very serious threat. Okay, and it's although I would argue that the ways most schools do it, which is just hide in your room and then make it look like nobody's there, is obviously flawed because unless it's Saturday, the school shooters probably has a good chance of them being there. But anyways, this is a serious thing. Okay, you do every school I know of or does lockdown drills or you know or Alice or whatever, right?
Did
But
Alice when I was in high school.
yeah, um which is much better than just turning off the lights and hiding in the closet. Um, but it is this, but this administration would have been like, okay, or maybe the people there didn't know about the other incident, and maybe it was just the school was large. Oxford is large enough to have multiple administrators who would deal with this sort of thing. I don't know. I'm not a Oxford student. I don't know particularly how big their school is, but it just this sort of thing shouldn't happen. Okay, well, firstly, no school shooting should ever happen, but this was one of those things where it was preventable. It wasn't just some random nutcase. Um, okay, that's disrespectful. It wasn't just some random mentally unstable person who just decided to walk into a school and shoot it up. Okay, as
No,
as with Sandy Hook, right? As far as I'm aware, the guy who shot up Sandy Hook had no affiliation with that school whatsoever.
nutcase is the appropriate word. We don't need to sugarcoat it. If you go into a school for the sole
Yeah,
purpose of killing children, there should be no niceties associated with you or your
yeah.
children.
It's just this whole thing. should have been preventable. It was an unfortunate tragedy, and now 4 people who should be alive today are dead.
And I would argue the only reason why most of the country knows about this shooting is that one of the victims was a star high school football player who essentially ran towards the shooter and took the bullet head on, potentially saving lives. Anyway.
Yeah, you
I,
know,
the Lord accepted him into heaven. He certainly deserved it.
yeah, it's
And meanwhile, oh, sorry, were you going to say something?
I don't know. I think that I said all I need to say on this. Will, do you need to say anything else?
Children on social media, don't be a moron. Don't threaten people. Internet is forever. What you say will be remembered and will haunt you in 10 to 20 years. Think about all the people who are getting canceled on Twitter for tweets they made 8, 9, 10 years ago and realize that that could be you at a job interview. That could be you at a court case. That could be you
Tomorrow.
any battle. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in your life. But the stupid stuff you do on the internet, it does follow you. Don't forget that.
I am so glad that I never really had an Instagram or a Twitter. Heck, my social media presence, like personally, is limited to a YouTube channel that I just need to start making content for again. A Gab, my personal Gab, which I haven't logged on to in forever since I managed the MOA Gab, and Reddit. That's about it. I am so glad that I was the weird kid who didn't want Instagram. I am so glad I was the weird kid who didn't want Twitter or whatever.
I didn't get Snapchat and Instagram until I was 18 because that's when I finally got my first smartphone.
Yeah, I didn't even want a smartphone neither. It was kind of just forced upon me as a Christmas present. It's like, okay, I kind of regret this.
Curve. Yeah, I only wanted a smartphone for the practical purposes, but I was way behind the curve. And
Yeah.
honestly, I'm thankful for it because my world doesn't revolve around cyberspace like it does other people my age.
Oh gosh, we've turned into boomers.
And you know what? The boomers were right, and now we've ruined the boomers because now they're wasting all their lives doing stupid stuff on Facebook because we told them it was okay.
That's that's sort of the punishment they deserve for letting this country rot. But okay.
Speaking of letting this country rot, and thank you, Charles, for the seg, our final serious topic of the night is the FDA has decided to permanently allow I presume, woman to receive abortion pills through the mail. I'm assuming services like Nurex and other like
Now,
companies
when we say
that
abortion pill, do these pills actually kill the unborn fetus?
Yeah, that's what day after pills are. They're basically supposed to,
Technically,
just
day after pills, Plan B doesn't actually abort the fetus. It's an emergency spermicide that prevents fertilization. If
oh
the egg
really?
is already fertilized, it can't stop the pregnancy.
Huh, I don't. You learn something new every day. But so that what was that?
but that a form of and this is why doctors tell women that they should take the Plan B pill immediately after relations, but that's a whole different topic. But this is why the Catholic and this contraception stuff. This is why people in the Catholic Church have been banging the drum about this since before even all of us were thought of, saying that contraception is going to lead to abortion. And people were like shock Pikachu when that actually ended up being the case.
Yeah, it's. I mean, obviously Catholic time. The reason we're against abortion is because contraceptives is because it sort of violates the nature of sex, because it's supposed to be for bonding and creating children, and you're really supposed to accept that possibility. Um,
I have no
but
such stance because my sense of pragmatism is overwhelming.
yeah, well, I'll have to get you a book. Anyways,
I'm sorry, guys. I get your Catholic morals and I appreciate that. I think it's great that you guys have standing. But for practical sake, condoms are a necessity in the modern world.
yeah, but the condoms help create the modern world, didn't they?
Or we could,
Anyways,
or we could just encourage abstinence in teenagers. Although I will say that studies have shown that it doesn't work.
well, no, I mean,
Engage in abstinence before we invented contraceptives.
well, yeah, but like obviously the whole contraceptive thing would be another time. But
Yeah, yeah.
suffice it to say, uh, the condoms, I believe, created the modern culture where more and more people aren't, and the sexual revolution. But anyways,
Yeah.
um, but this whole thing is that if these are these Victor, are these Plan B pills or actual abortion pills?
Let me go confirm. Well, let me go confirm that.
Yeah, because
I would say, to backtrack a bit to the sexual revolution, that the sexual revolution has more to do with the over promiscuous and frankly nihilistic nature we look at intimate relationships today than the invention of contraceptives. For the same reason that because you can buy beer doesn't mean that beer causes alcoholism.
well,
It's
I mean,
not the duty of the people who produce booze to make sure people drink responsibly.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just that.
Okay, the New York Times is calling it medication abortion.
Ah, that's a nice, that's a gentle way of calling it. So it actually is killing the child before you know you're with child. So you got that plausible deniability there. Uh,
It's basically it is a method by which someone kills their baby by taking two pills rather than having a surgical procedure.
Yeah, that's vile.
that that's just honestly that's the that's just more despicable. Well, I mean, any abortion is despicable, but doing it like because people are going to do it as a matter of course, right? Like they'll have a casual hookup and they're like, "Oh shoot," and do this, right? That that is vile. It is disgusting. It is a complete and total breakdown of the moral fabric, right? I've always, I've said a lot that society has its seven mockeries of the seven sacraments, and I think that abortion is really a mockery of baptism because with baptism, you die with Christ and you're born with Christ, you live with Christ, and you die with Christ. Um, this, but
Here,
abortion is obviously as opposed to giving you new life, just outright kills you. Um, and this really is absolutely despicable. And I wonder if, and I don't know. Maybe this is probably a response to the whole Texas abortion thing, where abortion's illegal after 6 weeks because if you just take the pill, then or the two pills rather. It, I can't. I don't understand why we live in this world. I don't understand why we live in a world where this is acceptable. Um, and I don't.
nihilism. People live without consequences today. Life
Well,
has
yeah,
no meaning, only pursuit of temporary material pleasure.
yeah. It's. I mean, it is disordered in every sense of the word, because one, the you're treating sex as something other than its purpose, and you're denying something good that could potentially come out of your out of that, right? Because I mean, obviously, having a child out of wedlock, you wouldn't have wanted it to happen, but at least you actually have a child out of this, and it's unfair to punish the child. And the fact that this is also going to be used probably by married couples is absolutely ridiculous. Um, the whole thing is it's disgusting, and it should never have been allowed. I mean, the fact that this is allowed by the government and is condoned now by the government is just a reflection of how evil not just society is, but the government is. How evil it is. Okay, I am sick and tired of playing nice. Like I said this, in the last episode, I think that you can compromise when it comes to things like economics. There's always you can compromise. So increase the taxes 5% or 5% or 2.5% or whatever. You can compromise there. But when it comes to this, there is no compromise. Okay, that is just outright evil, and outright evil should never, never be allowed and condoned by the state. That is where anybody of goodwill should draw the line. When evil becomes a part of the government, I mean, it kind of delegitimizes the entire thing. And I'm not saying that, oh, vive la revolution, right? Because firstly, because because any uprising against the government now doesn't consist of any sort of actual plan, and killing and staging an uprising against the government would produce worse evils probably now than not uprising. But the government is the legitimacy of the government now, I think, only rests in the fact that there's no other authority that would take its place. I mean, if it was like there was a secret underground, beautiful, government that doesn't have all this garbage, and it's like, okay, yay, let's support that government and overthrow this corrupt piece of garbage. But the legitimacy of the current American regime only lies in the fact that it's in power. That's it. It has no other sense of legitimacy in any sense of the word because it condones such evil.
And I am amazed that the medical community decided that a woman killing her baby needed more access to the shall we say murder weapon than what she had already had access to. And I'm presuming that because this is an edict from the FDA, I'm assuming that states are probably not going to be able to fight this, or if they do fight this, it'll be a lengthy court battle in which their laws will be stayed until a court hears it. This is just, and
What we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men were are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, chief among these the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
key word to
Life.
pounce on there is, you just said it, Charles, life.
I,
We,
the state
it,
doesn't.
it, it's, it's mind-boggling.
Uh,
And on this special of this holiday in which we celebrate the virgin birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I am so sorry to Almighty God and to the Holy Trinity for us, for even us
having
having
to talk
this,
about.
having to talk about it, but we really need to keep up with these kinds of societal, I suppose, events. And unfortunately, the society basically forces us to talk about it
Yeah,
and
and
to give our voice to this.
I think that I'm happy with the Immaculate Conception being America's national feast day, but to say to paraphrase Charles Coulomb, maybe the Feast of the Holy Innocents should be our national feast day. Where Herod went in and basically killed all of the infants and infants in an effort to kill Christ, because he was afraid that he would lose his throne over the whole thing. Um,
So, and
yeah,
now for the Christmas questions. And Joe Capre is starting us off with a pretty easy one. What is the true meaning of Christmas?
Christ's Mass.
You can't put it any more succinctly than that.
I mean that's kind of what the word means. It's a mass that's supposed to celebrate the birth of Christ.
I never picked up on that.
You never did. Oh well. In fairness, a lot of the other mass feast days, kind of with like names, kind of fell to the wayside, like Michaelmas, Candlemas. Yeah, but yeah, the suffix mass is just, I think, from, I don't know, Old English or Middle English is just mass. You're just missing one S. I guess they didn't have as much ink as we do. Anyways, yeah, no, it's just, I mean, and then obviously, getting into the wider thing, a Christmas, store. I mean, a Christmas Carol is actually we in English we actually read and watched a Christmas Carol. But yeah, no, I mean, it's that's a pretty good message, too, that charity, for those of means, charity is important, and living a good, virtuous life is important. Um, it's not. It's associated a lot with Christmas because that's when you have all these charity drives. But obviously, that should be kept the whole year round. But there's the old Christmas Carol song. But by old, I mean the version we sing is from the 1850s. Good King Wenceslas, who was actually a duke, but was posthumously made a king. But that's beside the point. Therefore, Christian men be sure, wealth or rank possessing, he who will now bless the poor shall yourselves find blessing. Yeah. So that spirit of charity, which is something that should be kept year round. Um, and then obviously, spending time with friends and family and all that. Gift giving is kind of part of that. Charity, I think, but in the most literal sense, it's Christ Mass. It's a mass of celebrating the birth of our Lord, which is one of the greatest acts of all time, because you have the Christ, by whom the entire world was made, came into this world for our salvation. And no greater, and Christ's life, death, and resurrection, no greater act of love can be found. Since God God became, when he was conceived, all of creation must have held his breath. Surely, when everybody was, the creation must have eagerly awaited Mary's reply when she said, "Behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord. Let it be done unto me according to thy word." Um, and with the birth, and all that, and obviously there's the whole thing. He born the King of Angels, and he comes as essentially as a peasant, a little peasant, um, the king of creation, the king of the entire universe. Um, that I think is something that doesn't get thought about a lot. Um, this entire thing. Everything about Christ's life is obviously something to think about. Even before he was even born, with the visitation and all of that, and his conception, obviously his being conceived without being conceived by a virgin, um, well, by the power of the Holy Spirit. Um, yeah, it's but in the literal sense, yeah, as I've already stated, but th- this entire season is probably a lot of people's favorite for a reason, and it's not just about the secular aspects. If there's one thing I really don't like about Christmas, it's just the weird way that that everything religious about Christmas is trying to be thrown out. Yeah, I mean, uh, when everything about Christmas has its Christian roots, the gift giving, form of charity, I guess. Um, the holly and the ivy. I don't know. It's anyways. Somebody else can talk now.
Yeah, okay. And I will, since you took all that time, I will give a little plug here because you had mentioned gift giving. I'm going to give the plug, and this will be the last plug I give until December of 2022. Since 1947, the United States Marine Corps has been helping Santa fill his sleigh with toys for needy children, with Toys for Tots. If you would like to give toys to families in need in your community, go to toysfortots.org, or I believe it's .com, and you can find a center where you can donate your new or gently used toys today for this Christmas season. You only have a week. Toys for Tots, toysfortots.com. And now we will head to another question that I have for the panel. What is your favorite traditional Christmas carol, and what is your favorite secular Christmas song? And I will start with Charles.
Favorite Christmas carol and favorite secular Christmas song?
Yes.
Oh, Christmas Carol. It's probably either God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen or Good King Wenceslas. I don't necessarily consider Hark the Herald Angels Sing a carol. I don't know if
Well,
people go over
I
with
mean,
carol.
I say carol. I say carol. What I really mean is like hymn,
Mm,
carol,
I don't
whatever.
know. I mean, in terms of its theology, Um, I mean, a good hark the herald angels sing, veiled in flesh, the Godhead see, hail the incarnate deity. Really good stuff in there. But God Rest You Merry Gentlemen is probably my favorite in terms of just the tune. Good King Wenceslas is probably a close favorite. Now, in terms of secular, I don't know, maybe Bing Crosby's White Christmas or Christmas in Killarney, which nobody knows about. I like Christmas in Killarney part because it's not necessarily about Christmas in the religious sense, but also it has, and Father John will bless, and Father John will bless us all before. Shit, I forgot the lyric. Anyways, um, but it's a really good song.
Come to you as soon as we wrap up. By the
No,
way, William?
yeah.
I'd have to say, when it comes to traditional religious Christmas carols, I'm simple, old-fashioned, give me Silent Night. Now, when
Mm.
it comes to secular Christmas carols, it's Frosty the Snowman because I have fond childhood memories of that cartoon.
Mm.
My favorite traditional Christmas carol is O Come All Ye Faithful, which I believe for the last word we shall sing, but we will not sing yet. We still have some more questions to go through. As in terms of secular, I suppose my favorite secular one is going to be more of a local favorite. It is called Crabs for Christmas. And if you have never heard of it before, it's probably because you're not from Baltimore. But I would advise you look it up on YouTube as soon as you're done listening to this podcast. It is very, very good.
Yep.
And now my next question, what is your favorite tradition with regards to Christmas that either you do yourself or your family does together? What is your favorite Christmas tradition out of them all? And I
Gambling.
will start with William this time.
Gambling. My mother's side, we all buy scratch cards for Christmas, and that's one of the adult Christmas activities we do.
Well, it's better than usury.
Activity, but it's fun.
I don't know. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with it. I mean, as long as you're not gambling compulsively and you're not, and you've done your tithing or your proper charity, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But me, I don't know. Normally we go over to me cousin's house and party down. That was probably the only time you get to play some. I really get to play any of the new Call of Duties because they're all console peasants. Sorry to say. But no, I mean yeah, I guess that would be it. I mean, obviously, I mean going to Christmas mass is probably the most important thing. But but last year actually, because but last year actually I did get to go to a Latin mass, a Latin Christmas mass, which normally I don't get to do. But that was very beautiful, and I think that getting
Was it
slightly
the
off
midnight?
topic,
What time? What time was the mass?
it was in the afternoon. I can't remember specifically, but I think that getting slightly off topic, I think that maybe God gave me this particular Christmas gift that year because it was nothing but young couples and like 15 children apiece. Well, obviously that was a joke, but you had like 2 or 3 very young children, and you got the sense that more were probably on the way. And it was nothing but that, and it's like, oh, yeah. I mean, like obviously I'd always once I figured out Latin mass exists and how all the youth like tradition. Um, it's like, oh, so that's where they all go. But it was just really beautiful to see all the all those young families because it's also like maybe don't suppress the Latin mass, guys. It's kind of where it's kind of the future. But anyways, Victor, before we go off into that tangent,
Well, we can discuss that. We can discuss that. Would be a completely different podcast
episode,
where we can discuss that.
yeah,
But my favorite Christmas tradition has been the longest standing Christmas tradition. My uncle traditionally hosts Christmas dinner on the Saturday between Christmas and New Year's. This year, because Christmas was on a Saturday, my uncle decided to host the family Christmas dinner on New Year's Day.
Why?
because my dad's side of the family has Christmas in January. Don't question it. Although
um,
to be fair, the family that side of the family is way more spread out than my mom's side of the family.
and and that is basically one of the days I look forward to every single year because even though all of my dad's side of the family lives in the state of Maryland, we don't typically get to gather all as a complete family outside of that Christmas dinner that we all spend together. And even then, not everybody gets to do it now because some people have scattered.
Hmm.
And that's
That's
I
sad.
real yeah, and that sort of puts a little bit of a damper on things, but still one of my favorite days of the year is the Saturday between Christmas and New Year's when the family Christmas dinner, I guess, happens. And on Christmas night, I go to midnight mass every year. And what? Well, technically it is Christmas morning. It technically is Christmas morning, but
Hmm.
it's but like it is just if you ever get a chance to go to a TLM midnight mass, get your butt out there. You will not regret it for
Hmm.
1 second. Depending on where you go, it might even be done in all candlelight. Anyway, we got the okay. Now another question that has come across the wire, a kind of a humorous question: is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yes, and I will fight anybody who says otherwise. I'll throw you off Nakatomi Plaza.
Would you like to explain to the people why Die Hard is a Christmas movie? And
Okay.
William, if you would like to take the contraposition, please do.
I have to say, confession time, I have yet to see the original Die Hard.
Oh, you haven't?
Oh, okay. Well, I'll try to avoid spoilers. Okay, but it takes place on Christmas. Okay, the guy, one of the guys listening to Christmas rap, which why that exists, I don't know. One of the techie bad guy who comes up with all these sort of comes up with these sort of Christmassy rhymes. The premise of the thing is it's a Christmas office party that's getting held up. The main character is seeing his wife for Christmas because she moved out there for work, and he stayed in New York because he's a copper. And obviously that's not kind of a job you can just take with you. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll chase you down Fifth Street remotely. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean, it's not. It's obviously a secular Christmas movie, but as far as secular Christmas movies go, I mean, it gave us one of the most beautiful lines ever that everybody who has a machine gun, a legal machine gun, should put on a sweater. Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
Because and I will say that, and I will give the contraposition on this just to be a contrarian here. I will admit I haven't really seen Die Hard yet, but just because it takes place on Christmas Day does not make it a Christmas movie. Now, a question from Flameshot: what kind of government is the fictional North Pole?
Um. Well. Um. That kind of gets really dark. No, I don't know. I mean, depending on how you want to. I mean, our modern understanding of Santa Claus is very. I don't know. It's very far removed from the real Saint Nicholas who clobbered Arius. Um, the only thing really is he sneaks into your house uh and gives you stuff, but really that and the stockings, but that particular story was he was giving money so daughters wouldn't have to be sold into prostitution, um which is a little more mature than what you want to tell your 4-year-old. But anyways, uh but Santa Claus at the North Pole. New South here thinks absolute monarchy with the immortal clause at its helm. I think forced slave labor camp where the elves sneak into toy shops and steal Lego sets. I mean, okay, back in the day when people would actually like make toys, right? Like my dad made me a nice little wooden diesel to play around with, and a little wooden battleship and whatnot, and a couple of wooden rifles that I still use. Um, you know, uh, back when like that was just the norm across society, you could get away with saying Santa had a toy shop where he and his elves made things. But now that Santa gifts you Lego sets and the hot new thing from Fisher Price or whatever, okay, you can't tell me that Santa runs a very illegal thievery ring where he breaks into Toys R Us or whatever and takes the toys, and then in order to hide evidence from the government that he's doing this, he chucks them into your house. You can't tell me that that's what he isn't doing.
That gives a whole new meaning to what to the story of Santa Claus, at least a
And
fake
Santa
Santa
Claus is
Claus.
also is a member. Oh yeah, Joe Carp already said the North Pole is a mafia family. Well, somebody who's a member of the Slovak mafia. Now you'll have to be silent for knowing that. No. We know that Santa Claus that Santa Claus works with the German mafia. You guys never heard of him, heard of it in the U.S., but the Pennsylvania Dutch have secrets. No, I mean it's we know he's money laundering for them. I mean, what are the feds going to do? Fly up there and check his bank statement?
No, hang on a second. Santa Claus doesn't steal. He's a counterfeiter. He's
Yeah.
copyright infringement.
Okay. Now, okay. Next question. What is your favorite Christmas movie, and why is it Home Alone?
It's not.
Well, that's the thing. That is my favorite Home Alone movie. It's such my favorite Home Alone movie that I named my Ruger PC carbine, the first gun I ever bought, Kevin, in honor of Kevin McAllister.
Yeah, if Kevin actually had a real
Throwaway
firearm,
gun that breaks in is literally named after Kevin McAllister, and I'm not ashamed to admit that.
yeah, if Kevin had an actual firearm, the third act of the movie would have been very short. Uh,
God, would it have been entertaining?
it would have been,
By
but
the way,
anyways.
By the way, Joe Pesci is absolutely hilarious in that movie. Also in the movie My Cousin Vinny. Honorable mention to You'll Shoot Your Eye Out, Ralphie.
A Christmas story.
See, I hated that movie, to be perfectly honest.
I mean, it has its unique charm. Just because I really actually, but this is something I really did notice. It was made in the '80s, although the film was sort of. I guess they wanted to give it a more nostalgic look because the film clearly isn't. I guess it's intentionally not high quality. The film stock they used. Um, but I noticed that they don't go to mass or church. Like, isn't that a little weird that their Christmas Day celebration or their Christmas Eve celebration doesn't involve them going to like a church at all? Like, isn't that? I mean,
Well, it seems a little weird now that you mention it, but
it's the
yeah,
'80s.
I get why everybody's sick of it because TNT shows a Christmas Story movie marathon all Christmas. But
I mean,
Go to Christmas. I don't go to any church service on Christmas, but that's because, due to me being a child of divorce, I have like 3 or 4 different Christmases to go to on the day of Christmas. And if I'm not spending time with family, I'm driving to the next Christmas.
next Christmas. Anyways, oh, that's it. Worst Christmas song.
oh my. Okay. We've got some real hot contenders here. I'll give a
No,
I'll give a I'll give I'll give a I'm sorry. I'll give a bottom three. I'll give a bottom three because there's so many candidates, and sorry, William, for cutting you off. My third least favorite is Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer.
Oh, come on!
Well, I love my
Okay.
grandmother.
Santa is a lot of things. Sloppy with his executions is not one of them. Okay, if Santa was gonna, when Santa kills somebody, you don't know it. Okay, you ever wonder?
My second least favorite Christmas song is gonna have to be that very much overplayed Last Christmas I
Look,
gave you
blew out
my
my
heart.
brain. No, yeah. To quote the Charles Cologne version, "Last Christmas I blew out my brain." Um,
and, and my least favorite Christmas carol, sorry, William, if you disagree with me, Mary, did you know? Of course she knew.
we had to sing that for choir class.
Honestly, least favorite Christmas carol, Mariah Carey. All I want for Christmas.
Even she's sick of it. She doesn't like. I don't think she even lets her kids listen to it. That's how sick of it she is.
I hate that song so much. You have no idea.
It's just okay. My probably Feliz Navidad. I don't like Feliz Navidad. I mean,
You
it's like
don't?
I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. It's like it's like the same lyric, repetitive. It's like
It's
uh,
that's the point. It's
I
supposed to be very
know.
catchy and bilingual.
Okay, but it's easy enough to make a song that's bilingual with two languages. Why don't you make it? Why don't you throw in every Western Indo-European language while you're at it? Why don't you throw in French Quebec and
Okay,
North Frisian while you're at it?
the-
I mean, it's like if you're ever in Michigan, actually, if you're ever in Michigan, there's it's a town north. I don't know if it's where exactly, but it's north of where I am. It's called Frankenmuth. It's Bavarian, although weirdly, it was established by like the small Lutheran minority where Bavaria is mostly Catholic. Anyways, there's a Catholic church there, of course. But anyways, a couple actually, but there's Bronner's, which is this which people come all over from all over the world to see it. It's this massive Christmas store, and because obviously the owners are probably Lutheran, but it's beautiful enough. You got you can there's an entire section of for nativity scenes, and you can get them as simple or as big as you want. Anyways, it's really great. If you're ever in the area, I would highly recommend it. But um there's a scene. I mean, there's just a section of it where they have a replica of the chapel where Silent Night was originally composed. But on the pathway up to it, you had the first verse of Silent Night in all of these different languages, like North Frisian and I think maybe even Yiddish or all these different languages. Okay, if you're gonna make a song, if you're gonna make Feliz Navidad, and you're gonna have the exact same lyrics over and over and over again, at least put it into more languages than just Spanish and
English.
English. Okay, my biggest problem with some of like the modern like mass music is that it's so repetitive. Like there's this song where it's like I don't know which one it was, but it's Lord, I need you every hour, I need you, right? And it's repeating that over and over again. And the song "Abide with Me," which I think we were talking about before the show, um,
Yes.
it says the same thing and more in less time. Okay. Anyways, other songs. Grandma got ran over by a reindeer once again when Santa kills people. Obviously removed from Saint Nicholas, because Santa and Saint Nicholas aren't really the same person. Santa's just a copycat, and the only good things about him. But anyways, um, obviously Grandma got ran over by a reindeer because it's just let's see what's one what other I don't know. A lot of like the like purely secular Christmas songs. I don't know. It's just um yeah, let's see. Let's see. Can we think of any
I
although it's sort of weird how I'm kind of a proponent of making Advent mini Lent and this episode's going live on the
my
20th.
second least favorite Christmas carol is probably Pat a Pan.
What the heck is that?
It's a French Christmas carol about children playing the fife and drum on Christmas, and it's supposed to be a joyous song, but it is the most depressing, like slow song you will ever hear.
Hmm. Oh, I do like speaking of French songs, are you sleeping? Are you sleeping, brother
I believe
John?
that song was sung to me as a lullaby in the original French.
Yeah, I think I want to say at some point I actually semi knew the original French, but that was
Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, sonnez le matin, ding dong ding dong ding.
oh speaking of French Christmas songs, there's "Oh Holy Night" was originally a French a Christmas song, and that's a good one. That's not uh well also "Are You Sleeping" is also a pretty nice one. I like that. Um uh, yeah this hmm Yeah, "Oh Holy Night," I really like that one. There came the wise men from the Orient land.
It is definitely not the right tune, but
Nah, well, yeah, but I don't know. It's oh, and Little Drummer Boy. I don't really like necessarily a lot of the modern you know, versions.
I like the originally recorded version.
Who did that one again?
I believe it was Nat King Cole or Bing Crosby.
I don't know, but there's
Anyway,
yeah,
uh,
the priest have a it's like three Irish. I think it's just three Irish Catholic priests, and they're called just the priest. Very creative. Um, but yeah, they have a on their album Noel. They have two versions where it's just them singing it, and there's also another guest guy. I don't know his name, but yeah, yeah, they do a very good version of Little Drummer Boy, and that I mean that sort of thing where I mean it's not obviously there wasn't a Little Drummer Boy as far as we know, but there those sort of like very related to like actual biblical events, but not like act. I mean, but it didn't actually happen. I don't know how good the movie is because I watched it so many years ago, but in I don't know seventh or eighth grade. But there was a Christmas, well, it was kind of a Christmas movie. It was called The Fourth Wise Man, where there was this fourth wise man who gets separated from the rest of them, and the gifts he has, which are a bunch of jewels. You know, he gives one as a bribe to a soldier not to kill a child. Speaking of the holy innocents, and but he spends most of his life like helping out this leper colony, and he never really gives up trying to find you know the Messiah. But he spends the entirety of his life helping this leper colony, establishing like helping them get an irrigation system going or whatever. And he ends his life completely destitute, and I think he's blind, but he's in Jerusalem like after Easter or something, and he doesn't obviously see the risen Christ, but he gives that what was it, John 14, or for I was hungry and you gave me to eat, I was
yeah,
thirsty and you gave me to drink. Which one was that? It wasn't. It, was it Matthew?
I,
I can't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember, but it's one of those. It's one of the most famous lines. And the actors playing Christ says that to him. So I mean it was only tangentially a Christmas movie, and I can't remember how good it is, but that was yeah, that was that's sort of like the non and not strictly biblical but closely related to biblical thing that I think that and from what I remember it was pretty tastefully done, but that sort of thing is very I don't know, that's a good movie actually. I mean, well, the message is good. That this guy gives his basically spends his entire life, because the wise men were also kings. We three kings of Orientar, right? He gives his entire life up for service, and tangentially related to what this podcast is supposed to be about, monarchism and whatnot. A king giving, a king, spending his life in service. That's kind of what a king is. A king is somebody who's supposed to serve his people. So, but yeah, I don't know if you've seen that movie and you're like, oh, it was horribly acted. I don't know, remind me, because it's been so long since I've seen it. Anyways, any other questions that we got here that we can tangentially relate to Santa Claus's illegal dealings?
Well, not. I don't know if illegal dealings is the thing to do, but we instead. But I believe I have one final question.
For that,
What is your what Christmas traditions from other European countries do you wish would catch on here in the United States?
Um, I don't know, people actually going to mass. No, I don't know. I mean, there surprisingly enough, me actually saying that Protestant countries do a Protestant country actually did something good for once. Uh, in the Netherlands, apparently, they do all the Christmas gift giving on the Saint Nicholas Day, which is the 6th, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So on uh So
He
I
said
mean, I guess that
December 6th
removing,
to clarify.
yeah, December 6th.
December. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that doing the gift giving and kind of reinforcing to children that the birth of Christ is really what this day is about. Um, yeah. So that sort of thing. I think that having basically just having the children have the gifts at a different time than the actual day itself. That's something. But the English tradition of I mean, caroling was kind of brought over here, but it's not really much of a thing anymore. I think that could be revived. Um,
I think COVID might have taken that away, unfortunately.
well, yeah, I don't even think that even pre-COVID that caroling was something that was very common in merry old England anymore. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, there, I mean, the thing is with especially Catholic countries, we have all the different, especially for feast days that are important to them. Different cultures will have very unique traditions, but with Christmas, obviously, everybody's gonna have something because Christmas is very important. Um, and I wouldn't want to bring over some of the food, like pudding, like English pudding that they had for Christmas.
Don't knock black pudding until you try it.
Look, you have to understand, my taste bud palate is essentially limited to meat, fish, because we record this on Friday, so I don't eat meat on Fridays because I'm a rat trad. Um, apples, grapes,
Well,
and
it's
that's
a
about
good
it.
thing you eat meat, Charles, because that's what black pudding is.
Oh, cool. Yeah, but you have to
Uh,
understand, I only tried stuffing like this Thanksgiving.
what?
Yeah,
Are you
because it was like,
serious?
oh, I like carbs. I like
Scrawny,
carbs.
he barely eats. No wonder he's so scrawny. He barely eats.
Hey, I eat plenty. When it comes to that, well, anyways,
William, would you like to take a stab at this question?
I
And
forgot
I
what the
want to
question
remind you
was.
what the question was. What
Oh,
European traditions would you want brought over here for Christmas? Well, by that I mean Christmas traditions from other European countries.
Hmm.
Charles, I believe I had cut you off. Were you going to say something?
I don't know, but actually, there might be some. I don't know. Maybe there's some. I don't know any broader African Catholic traditions because there's Catholics down there, and also they actually go to mass on Sunday. Anyways, um, gotta poke at the American Catholics, just a little modern European Catholics, just a little bit. It's a sad state of affairs when people don't go to mass in Rome on Sunday, but people who are poor and destitute find time to go to mass on Sundays. But anyways, um, I don't know. I don't know. I guess we should probably open up to any Christmas traditions, but I don't know any because I live here. And
Of course.
hmm.
Think,
William, over to you.
think I would like to see Christmas in America become more. I don't necessarily want to use the word festive, but more. What's the word I'm looking for? Vibrant and energetic, because we have a very sober, somber, and formal Puritan, and I guess the
Well,
word
yours just didn't celebrate Christmas. There was a tax for that.
I guess the word I want to look for is we have a very, very, very G-rated Christmas, whereas in Europe and other places it's a little bit more lively.
Oh yeah, like the what's
like
his
you,
name?
like Christmas balls and that type of thing. Is
Yeah,
that
no,
what you're referring to?
Basically, like the whole thing that Christmas is a lot more of a it's much more of a festival in some European countries, especially back in the day.
Hmm.
Whereas in America, it's just quiet little holiday. You get together with your family. You eat get eat. You eat gifts. You eat food. You open gifts. Well,
This year we decided to feed you.
well,
Enjoy your
my mother
present.
gives me candy for Christmas, so I do eat my gift. Thank you very much.
Uh, well, I mean, actually though, maybe we always say that Santa Claus will we'll give you coal if you've been bad. But for a steam train enthusiast like me, that's not particularly much of a problem. I saw this sweet Reddit post from a dad who's like, "Oh, my son's really a steam train enthusiast because his letter for Santa was, Santa, I really like you, but please send coal." um, anyways, uh,
But
I mean, there were stories about how if you were in some folk
Yes.
tales in European countries of different creatures in different parts of the continent, that if you were bad for Christmas, somebody maybe accompanying Saint Nicholas will come and do very very terrible things to you. Maybe at best you get you get smacked around, but at worst you just
I
kind of get
know
taken
that
off and killed.
I think it's time we tell him the true story of Saint Nicholas.
you think so?
I think so. Charles,
Okay, let me go grab my trusty hand missile and open it up. Give me a moment.
but seriously, especially since I'm like young, I would like to see a more not necessarily raunchy, but more rowdy and boisterous Christmas.
Yeah, I mean mass, and then especially if actually get churches to be
All
important. You would
right.
have mass, and then after mass there'd be this beautiful big party where everybody goes. Anyways,
All right. From the section accounts of
We should
feasts and lives of saints
go to the
from
pub.
the New Roman Missal by Father Lassange. Okay. Saint Nicholas, Archbishop of Myra in Asia Minor, from the childlike innocence of his own life and his devout care for the young, is looked upon as the patron of children. He died in the middle of the 4th century, and 700 years later his holy relics were translated to Bari in Italy. Because of the power he exercised over flames, we pray that through his intercession we may be preserved from the flames of hell. He is remembered for the money which he threw in a window that 3 young girls might have a dowry for their marriage. Because of that gift, his name has become associated with giving, and children thank Santa Claus or St. Nicholas for their presents at Christmas time. That was a quote from the New Roman Missal by Father Lassange, which was first published in the 50s.
Hmm.
Uh, and now, instead of concluding in prayer, I believe we shall conclude in song.
no,
This is going to end
Ahem.
no,
terribly.
no.
Oh, come, all ye faithful,
Faithful,
joyful
joyful,
and
and triumphant,
triumphant,
oh
oh,
come
come
ye,
ye,
oh
oh,
come
come ye
ye to
to
Bethlehem.
Bethlehem. Come
Come and
and
behold
behold
him,
him,
for
born the
the
King
King
of
of
angels.
angels. Oh,
Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let
let
us
us
adore
adore.
him. Oh,
Oh,
come,
come,
let
let
us
us adore
adore
him,
him,
Christ.
Christ
Oh,
the
So,
Lord.
um,
Ade,
no, please. Okay, okay.
Fidelis, Leti Triumphantes, Venite, Venite
In
in
Bethlehem.
Bethlehem, natum idere, Rege
Angelo,
Angelorum, Venite
adorem. And
Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas. And don't forget, if you enjoy this podcast, please join our server. Link is in the description. And by the way, Sunday is a holiday, not a separate holiday of obligation, but Catholics are required to go to Mass every single Sunday in the year. This includes the day after Christmas as well. So you have to go to Mass on on Christmas Day as well as on Sunday, which is the day after Christmas this year. Now, January 1st, the Solemnity of Mary, Mother of God, because it falls on a Saturday, is not a holiday of obligation this year. So Catholics are only obliged to go to Mass on Sunday, January 2nd, on the New Year's weekend. And if you would like to follow us on all other social media platforms, links to all of those are in the description down below. And have a from the Monarchist of America, our families, we wish you and your families a very Merry Christmas. May God.
And as a Christmas gift, we promise never to try and sing 2 or more people at the same time over Discord again.
Sorry. And if we do sing, it'll just be one person singing and not 2.
Yeah.
Anyways, may God bless you, and may God bless your families this Christmas season, and may God bless the United States of America.